start of a new school year coincides with a worldwide pandemic. Parents are facing difficult choices about how their kids will return to school, such as, is in-person learning worth it, or do we opt for the safety of virtual learning? Well, there is another choice which many parents are considering: homeschooling. Nearly 40,000 students in the Commonwealth were homeschooled last year, and due to the COVID-19 pandemic, that number will likely be higher this year. Joining me to discuss the benefits of homeschooling is Ann Miller. Ann is President, Executive Director of the Home Educators Association of Virginia. Good day to you, Ann.
Hey, Dale. Thanks for having me on your show.
It's my pleasure. Look, now homeschooling is regulated by the state, is it not?
Yes, it is. Yes,
All right,
it
so
is. We have Virginia's considered a fairly moderate state as far as regulation goes.
Okay, so let's start with the legal definition of homeschooling. What is it?
Well, it's parents teaching and training their children at home. The statute requires, there are several options under the homeschool statute in Virginia, but basically there are 4 options, and you send in a notice of intent every year by August 15th. And typically you do some sort of an assessment at the end of the year and turn that in by August 1st. Now this year, because of the pandemic, the schools are not testing, and homeschoolers did not have to test this year either, but that's normally one of the requirements for teaching at home.
So, okay, so all you need to do to legally homeschool is apply for it.
Well, you're not actually applying. If you follow what the statute says, you're notifying them.
Okay.
You're not necessarily asking for permission, you're notifying them. And there are 4 different ways that you can do that. And so as long as you follow those ways and send them to your school superintendent, you just start homeschooling.
How does one determine if homeschooling is best for them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I always say that homeschooling may not be for everyone, but if you want to homeschool, if you have that inclination, you can do it. If I can do it, and I don't like teaching, anyone can do it. I have 8 children, and I homeschooled them all the way through.
Really?
Yep. And we have engineers and MBAs and PhD. And so if I can do it and I don't like teaching, and I'm not a math and science person, anyone can do it. But really, it's more of a heart issue. If you want to do it and you're motivated to do it, and you can see the benefits for your children, anyone can do it. And there's lots of support. Our organization, we're here in Virginia, we support tens of thousands of families through the years. We've been around 37 years. And so the homeschool community is very strong and vibrant and helpful and supportive.
So how does one get started, Ann?
Well, basically, you decide that you're going to take the leap, and we encourage people to get connected with other families, connect with HEAV. We have counselors. We also have Facebook groups. Our Facebook group is almost to 15,000 families, and they are there supporting each other, and we're there making sure we have accurate information. It's getting connected is so important. To have that support, to be able to talk to the families that have gone before you, and to get the encouragement and support. It's a little scary. Actually, it can be quite terrifying to think that you're taking your child's education into your own hands. Like, oh, I didn't even like school, and now I have to teach my own children. And that's okay. I spoke to a reporter last week, and he's like, I didn't do well in algebra the first time around, and so how in the world would I do that? And it's possible. And I told him I didn't do well in algebra either. So, and I have all these engineers. So it's possible because there are so many resources.
Yeah.
And in home education, the world becomes your classroom.
Okay.
And so you find out what your children are passionate about, what do they love, and you let them explore their interests and grow and learn. And we encourage parents to start with the basics, language arts and math, because if you can teach your children to read and write and do arithmetic, they can do anything. You want them to learn how to learn. And if they have the basics under their belt and they're really solid in those areas, they can do, they can learn anything. And and then as you're beginning, you send in your notice of intent by August 15th, and
Okay.
then choose your curriculum. And there are lots of choices out there, but come to us. We have lots of helps. We can point you in different directions based on your child's learning style. You choose your curriculum. Be prepared to know that, to be flexible, because the beauty of home education is individualized instruction. You can do for your child exactly what they need. And so if the materials aren't working or you need to remediate, say they're in seventh grade, but you've suddenly discovered since they've been home that they can only do fifth grade math when they're in seventh grade. So as a homeschool parent, you can say, okay, you're great in language arts in seventh grade. We're going to go on from there, but we need to go back here in math. So let's go back and catch up
Yeah. Okay.
and give them mastery. And one of the things we hear from the parents, thousands and thousands of parents have come to our group since COVID started. And the thing that they're discovering is, oh, no wonder my son wasn't doing well in math. He doesn't know his math facts. And with home education, it's one-on-one instruction, it's individualized instruction. So you can tailor what you do to your child's abilities and their needs. And sometimes you need to remediate, and sometimes that same child who needs help in math, maybe he's not in seventh grade language arts, maybe he's in eighth or 12th grade language arts. And, he's ready for, I don't know, war and peace. You don't have to hold them back. Let them
Yeah.
excel in the areas where they excel and remediate in the areas that need remediation, or let them go at their own pace.
Talk to me about curriculum. Well, first, is it affordable?
We,
The
it
curriculum,
can,
the buying books and
it's all across the spectrum.
okay.
The average that a parent spends per child is $600 a year per child. The schools spend 11 to 12, 13, 14,000, depends where you live in Virginia, how much is spent on per child. But $600 is average. I know families who spend almost nothing. They go to the library, they go to used book sales, they buy their materials online. There are lots of free materials online. So it does not have to be expensive.
What
And the
curriculum?
library is certainly your friend.
What curriculum do you suggest, Ann?
Oh, that's a tough question. Um, there
Well,
are,
you've had obvious success with this. I'm going with you.
well, what we did when we started, and this is a good place for parents to start, find something that's prepackaged, that they've already thought it all through for you. It's all in one package. It doesn't, and there are price ranges. You can get from a few $100s to thousands of dollars. You can spend as much or as little as you want. But when you get a prepackaged curriculum, it's all there. And as you begin, you will quickly find what works and what doesn't work. And it's kind of a safe space to start if you're not sure. But we also have curriculum counselors. You can call our office and
Okay.
we will talk to you about your child, your situation, and we can make specific recommendations.
And we hear a lot about learning styles. How do you
Yes.
find your child's learning style?
There are actually some great assessments online. Um, Kathy Duffy, if you Google Kathy Duffy and learning styles, she has an online assessment that you can take to evaluate how your child learns. And that's the beauty of homeschooling, is that you can customize what you do with your child. So if you find that you have a kinesthetic learner who is active and busy and cannot sit in their seat, you don't want an online program where they have to sit in front of a computer all day. That's not going to work. And so you can find more hands-on activities. You can find things where they're going and doing and moving. Um, and you can also take materials and adjust them. I have a kinesthetic learner who could not sit still, and when I was teaching him to read, my husband came in and he's in his seat, like dancing around and moving. But we had our fingers on the page, like focused, like reading across. And he was following and tracking perfectly, but he could not sit still. And so when you're home, you can make those adjustments. And he learned to read. He learned to read very well. And, and my husband's like, how can you stand that? Like, and I said, you know what? He's focused and he's doing what he needs to do. And so I can take it.
Well, so what about teaching style, Ann? Your kid
Well,
has a learning.
yeah. My teaching style is I don't like to teach. And that's terrible. The president and executive director of the State Homeschool Association doesn't like to teach. But that should be an encouragement, because really, if I could do it, anyone could do it. What I wanted my children to love to learn, and I wanted them to be independent learners as fast as they could become independent learners. And so my goal was to work myself out of a job and become a resource person. I love finding resources and connecting to resources. And so as they got older, especially, and their interests developed, or I wanted them to, explore different concepts or um, hobbies or interests, I would introduce new things like, hey, did you see this over here with this chess program and all of this? And I became more of that resource person for them, and let them have a say in choosing their materials. Like, we want to do Latin this year. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm thinking about these 3 courses. Go into the exhibit hall when we have our state convention. Go in there, look at them, and pick one. Give them ownership of their education. And I would tell my kids all the time, I already went to school. This is not my education, although I did learn a lot. This is your education and you need to own it.
What
And
about
yeah.
but what about socialization, Ann? We hear a lot about kids who are homeschooled may not be able to cope in the real world. I mean, the teacher is also their parent. Was that a problem or concern?
Not really. Actually, too much socialization can be a concern, because homeschooling is sort of a misnomer, because often we're not at home. One study showed that the average homeschool student has 5 outside interests, 5 outside activities outside the home each week. So having to limit the social opportunities was one of our challenges, because we could have been out all the time in co-op classes, in courses, in church groups, all kinds of things. So no, where else in the world as adults are we in a room with only 40-year-olds, or only 52-year-olds, or only 65-year-olds? Where does that happen? Well, in senior communities maybe now, but in the general world, we interact and socialize with all ages of people, all walks of life of people. And so by being homeschooled, you actually have a great advantage, because you are socializing with all age groups. And even in your own family, you can have different age groups in your own family, and you are learning to interact and socialize with different ages. And in school, if you're all with 13-year-olds or 15-year-olds or 18-year-olds, you're not getting that interaction. You have one teacher and a classroom full of 13-year-olds. Where is learning to socialize with the world? Where does that come in?
Yeah, yeah. And what about mental health concerns? What about if you're starting anew this year, and your kid is stressed or anxious about missing school or missing his
Yeah.
friends? What do
Yes.
you do about that?
Well, you need to be cognizant that there could be some grief and some sense of loss in your child, and so make opportunities for them to get together with their friends. Find your local. This is the connection part. Find your local support groups, and we have a lot of them listed on our website, and there are even more than are listed there. Um, find local families, connect with the families that you already know in your neighborhood. The kids were going to the same school, get them together, socially distance, of course,
Right, of
but
course.
make opportunities um, uh, for them to be with their friends and to make new friends as well.
How do you keep kids focused on their schoolwork when they're at home?
well, my secret weapon was as soon as they finished their schoolwork, they could go work on their own projects. And so that was so motivating because get your schoolwork done and then you can go work on your own interests. And their interests were all educational in some way or another. They wanted to build things, they wanted to do art or crafts or start businesses, but they had to do their schoolwork first. And so we had two that got up at 3 in the morning, did all their schoolwork, went back to bed because they wanted to get up and have the whole day to work on their projects.
Really?
So very motivating when you can fuel your child's passion and they're interested in something. I have discovered that they learn widely across many subject areas when they're interested in things. We had a son who loved cars, and and he learned about history and geography and all the mechanics and all kinds of things just from his interest in cars.
Cars.
And he got to know people and do things. And that's the beauty of homeschooling, is they have time. Time is a gift that we give our children when we teach them at home.
Speaking of time, Ann, I'm
You got,
sorry.
I was just going to say, and homeschooling doesn't take as long as classroom learning. You have one, maybe two or three. I had eight students. So, in the lower grades, it could be an hour, 2 hours a day that are formal academic learning. In high school, it might be 3 or 4 hours of formal sit down learning. It doesn't take as long because it's one on one instruction and it's individualized. It doesn't take a full school day. Like, um, it doesn't take a full school day.
And I can tell you're one woman doing the work of 10. How were you able to homeschool when your life is so busy, when you had so
I,
much to do?
I did work, and my husband has his own construction company, and I helped him in his business as well.
Really?
Yes, uh, and I homeschooled the eight. I became the resource person. We used co-op classes. We had tutors. I had mother's helpers. I had someone who helped. Um, I even had someone come and help clean the house when my children were younger. And so you have to make it work for you. You talked about the teaching style. It has to work for mom and dad, as well as the kids. When you're choosing materials, it's got to be a method. But I had high school girls come and help do drill work. Co-op classes are available. We use the resources in our community classes, community opportunities, and I did not do all the teaching.
Okay. So, and obviously, it's been a big success for you. I was going to ask, how does homeschooling affect college admissions? Your kids have done exceedingly well.
Colleges love homeschool students because they have learned how to learn. They're more independent in their thinking, and they're excited about learning, and so and they're well socialized for the most part. There are awkward people in every walk of life, right?
Right, right.
um, but colleges recruit homeschoolers because they're often entrepreneurial and they've gone into subjects and areas deeply, and they're well received. College is not a problem, not
Great,
at
great.
all.
Great. Okay. Well, and are there? How is if anyone listening would like to get in touch or learn more? How can they contact you?
Our office number is we're in Richmond, on Laburnum. We're 804-278-9200 is our office, Monday through Friday, 10 to 4. And our website is heav.org.
Okay.
heav.org. And our website is packed full of information. The average read time since COVID on our website is between 36 and 46 minutes.
Wow.
Because there's so much
Right.
information. Yeah.
It's a big concern. I know a lot of people are dealing with it.
Yeah.
Um, and it's going to be tough, but there are folks who may be essential workers, single parents, households, but it
Yes.
is possible.
It is. I know lots and lots of parents who work and homeschool. And it is absolutely possible. People get neighbors to help, family members to help. My own brother and sister-in-law, she worked on the weekends. He watched the kids on the weekends, and then she did schooling when she was there. You have infinite flexibility with homeschooling, so you don't have to do your schoolwork in the same hours that school meets. You could do
Hmm.
your schoolwork
Yeah,
in the morning. You could do part of it in the morning, part of it in the afternoon, part of it in the evening. You could do it on the weekends. You have a lot of flexibility,
yeah.
a
So
lot of
it
flexibility.
sounds as if the key is planning.
It is, and I'll say I'm not a planner. So you don't have to be, I know, what am I? How did I get here? I'm not a naturally organized, structured person, but
No?
there are certain things of like developing a routine, like a daily routine, and a weekly routine that help. And it doesn't mean you'll ever exactly do that on at those times, but just to have a flow and kind of map out what you want, and set the expectations for your children, for yourself, for your family. But no, I have worked hard to learn to have organization in my life, and so it is possible. And there's so much help. We do courses and classes, and our Facebook group, Homeschooling in Virginia. If you're even thinking about it, just go there and just read the posts, because literally thousands and thousands of brand new families have joined this group in the last few months, and they are all learning and growing together. They're sending in their notices of intent and everybody's cheering. And so you don't have to make any commitment to join the group. Just come in and see, if it could possibly be for you. Ask the tough questions. I mean, there are almost 15,000 people with lots of experience, and every single homeschool journey is different. And that's part of the beauty, because it's your family, your child, and your life. And you can make it the best that it can be.
Tailor made.
It is. It is. And you make it fit your family, your work
Yeah.
situation, your home situation, the resources that you have available to you. And there are so many resources in Richmond. So many resources.
Once again, what are those? What's your website and your Facebook site?
Our our website is HEAV, it looks like
Okay.
heave.org.
Okay.
And our Facebook is Homeschooling in Virginia.
And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy
Oh, you are
schedule to
welcome.
talk with
You
me.
are welcome.
Yeah. Have a great school year.
Thank you.